Titanic movie
excited.
come out?
Yeah, let me have a look.
When did it come out?
1993. No, 1996. Fuck, that was on the quiz and I got it wrong because I kept saying 1996.
You're like, in
There's no way I'm gonna know.
1812.
Did you see the short? What year did the Titanic movie come out?
I remember that.
Did you say something wrong?
2000.
No.
No, it was like...
Beat me up, Scotty.
Yeah, go on, ma'am.
1999. 1900. No.
Wait, what are you saying?
No, it's the wrong one. It's not the
The
same year.
1900s with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. Holy shit! He's like,
No, we're not talking about the famous people that died on Titanic.
oh,
We do
Kate
not
Winslet.
put Leonardo
Oh, yeah.
DiCaprio. She survived. She was on that fucking door, and there was enough room to put Leo on it.
Oh,
Okay.
100%. Yeah. They both could have fit on there, yeah.
So right, okay, I've got an official. I've got a cheesy intro. Then let's do this intro. So, welcome to the Gaming Pit podcast, first one of 2022. How's everybody doing? Great. We have some theories and things to say on the Titanic. Please feel free to comment below, thoughts and feelings. We'll be happy to respond, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hey, do you like that?
Nice,
to
yeah,
help
well
this
done.
new channel. My part is about the team that found the wreckage and how. So getting into the Titanic. What you got for us, Mayhem? So, like, you know, it's not mad to feel the stats that someone be like, what's the Titanic? Like, you got to think the film, 1997, was probably the last thing on it.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Titanic, the movie, the people wouldn't know what
I
happened.
think you're right, to be fair, yeah. If it wasn't for the movie, a lot of people wouldn't know about it.
But I've got a bit of a cover story and things anyway, and I've got some stuff to show and a video to show you. I was going to get up some.
Good, because I ain't got anything.
It's all right. We'll entertain you with a nice little video there.
But you know how many workers worked on Titanic? 2000.
I have got some numbers. So there was 866 were rescued and 1,250 perished. But I'm not
really?
sure
Yeah.
what the civilian to work ratio was.
Well, we know that the women were first.
Yeah, women and children
rescued.
onto the
Women
boats.
and children, it was,
first
wasn't it?
to
Yeah.
It's usually well, but they didn't. Is it true, like the film, that they didn't have enough lifeboats?
Yes, and we know they didn't have red flares. They only had white flares. They communicate the parties on, and the red flares with the danger. They didn't have those. That's the fact.
Oh, okay.
The fact is that they had the automatic seal door, so they can close off the parts of the ship as well.
Yeah, because
They had closed.
I remember that there was rushing through and locking the big metal airtight doors, and there was actually locking people in to seal the water, which is
Exactly.
why it took over 4 hours to sink.
Yeah. So and then we had we had the third class, second class, the first class. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We had Well, the true story is that Leo was dancing. They were pretending to do the Irish dancing there. You know.
Massive chandelier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were doing.
I think that was the song as well. It's pretty accurate. That.
What if
Mind we don't get demonetised.
The copyright, yeah, instead of you on, yeah.
That's it. They had enough. But there were the 2,000 workers that were assigned to build Titanic in Holland Wolf shipyard in Belfast in Ireland.
Yeah.
The first deaths that were connected with Titanic were the deaths of workers. So they were expected. You know, there were hundreds of injuries, and a handful of people died during the construction process. As you know, the health and safety back then wasn't that, promoted as it is at the moment. You know, famous picture of the.
Yeah, they probably would have had kids down there and shoveling coal and people dying of exertion and all sorts going on. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can claim those workers as the first death of Titanic.
Probably. They probably got locked in straight off the bat, so...
And as I was saying
accident.
to you before Beep joined us, there's a crazy conspiracy theory that actually Titanic never sank. Because there were 3 ships that were on the White Star Line. Am I saying it right? The White Star Line?
So the ship itself, the
But haven't they
Titanic
seen
ship, was
haven't they seen the wreckage, though?
269.1 meters, was the length of the Titanic, 882 feet 9 inches, 825 tons. The amount of coal used per day, 10,000, the approximate number of lamp bulbs used on the ship, 10,000 bulbs. So imagine your house has got what, 8 times all that.
Yeah.
That's big. So 7.5 billion building it. The numbers of workers killed during the build, this is before it even went out to sea, was 2. 20
Oh,
horses needed to transport the main anchor. 20 horses to drag the main anchor. That was heavy.
Still less horses that were used to build pyramids.
Yeah.
yeah. So the
Oh,
lifeboats
dear.
here is 64, the number of lifeboats the Titanic was equipped to carry. 20, the number of lifeboats she was actually carrying. So, supposed
How
to
many
carry
people
64.
Okay.
boat?
20. 28 is the number of people on board the first lifeboat, which had a capacity of 65 people. So they could have put 65 people on the first boat
Oh,
out.
you
They
put
put
28.
28, which seems because it was sinking for 4 hours, so they had plenty of time. I don't know what the
Yeah.
was there. There's a boarding
why
pass
didn't
as
they fill
well.
up
Inequality
then?
back then was different. The we had the rich people, we had the poor people, and the people actually knew their praise. Like at the moment, if you're told not going on the boat, you're going to fuck off. Then I'm going on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're going to
yeah.
stop me. Back then,
They were like, oh, okay,
they were
yeah.
fighting. If I was going down at that stage, people were fighting. But the most important was to put women and children, which was the first idea to do.
Yeah.
The best idea to do, because come on now, if there was so much time left when the Titanic was sinking, the decisions had to be made very quick as well. With the 20 boats or 10 boats.
There's 64 boats, but only 20 at the time was carrying on
20,
Titanic. Yeah.
So 20 were carried. So decision had to be made quick. If the Beatles were playing on Titanic, they would have been on the boat.
Oh,
Right.
I'm getting you. Yeah, high order
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So there
Wow.
was 3,547 was the maximum number of people the Titanic could carry. The number of people aboard was 2,223 total.
Okay.
13
There
was
you
the
go.
number of honeymooning couples on the voyage. So 13 people were
Had like
honeymooning.
just got married, yeah.
oops.
Yeah.
I do. Do you
I don't
still
wanna
do?
break it down. I don't want to break it to you.
I
but
don't. Yep.
No one told them. No one told them. But you know how they all started?
No.
There was a big war. Between
Right,
the big
'cause-
passenger ship lines. Yeah, there were two rivals. There was White Star Line and Connor Steamship Company.
So
The
White
Connor
Star
Steamship Company-
Lines was actually there's a boarding pass that said White Star Line permission granted to come aboard White Star Line's RMS Titanic. So this White Star Lines was what the boating company that owned Titanic
Yeah,
and
it's
various other
like
ships.
it's like Ryanair at this stage, or you have Stena Line, or at the moment. This is what it is. It's a big company that owns the ship, that builds the ship,
Okay,
and
yeah.
then runs them. Right. So the Connor flagships were faster actually than Titanic. They had Lusitania and Mauritania, so they were faster. And then in 1902, I'm gonna mention that name, and I want you to get that in your head. That name, J.P. Morgan,
Yeah, Morgan, I recognise that anyway.
bankrolled the White Star Line, putting the company's chairman J. Bruce Ismay on path to build luxury ships to be known as Olympic class ships, right? And they had 3 of them:
Right.
the Olympic, the Titanic, and the Britannic. All right. So there is a crazy conspiracy theory that the Titanic never went on the voyage because there was some money problem and they need their insurance. That was one of the theories, right? They needed insurance, so they basically let Olympic go. They're going to sacrifice the older ship, right? And the new Titanic is going to
Okay,
stay
yeah.
in port, but they're going to change the names of the Titanic. They're going to change the plaques, right? If you're
Okay.
looking at 2 ships in the port, you're not going to see the difference.
You're not
Only
going to
people
notice.
that build
No.
it or they're on it, they're going to know the difference. So the Olympic goes down. That's one of the theories, right? The Olympic goes down as Titanic, all right?
Yeah.
Insurance company
Oh,
knows
okay.
only the Titanic goes down, which is the newer ship, which claims them the bigger amount of money.
Damn.
That's one of the conspiracy theories, right? Carry on. I'm just going to cut through whenever it's done.
That's crazy, no? Keep going. I
It
mean,
is
That is
crazy. It's
mad,
one of
yeah,
those
yeah.
things because, and there's loads of people that following that theory and trying to figure out, even they're looking at the old pictures to see if they're actually the plaque of the Olympic and Titanic, and there's any, the pictures taken back then are not as great quality as they are now.
They must have been similar looking boats, though. If
Well,
that theory was true, they must have been similar looking.
Well, if you go to the port at the moment, right, to the pier, and then you see 2 Stena Lines, and they're 2 different ships, but you see the 2 same markings.
I
on them,
wouldn't know
right?
any difference. Yeah,
You wouldn't know the difference
I
because
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Broomy's
I
in
think
the
that's
chat
right.
here, Mayhem. Look, Broomy's in the chat. He says J. Bruce Ismay was the chairman of White Star. He was British. He survived the sinking as well. Lol. So Broomy's still here, guys. He's still part of the podcast.
Good stuff.
He's
Join,
in there.
Broomy, join.
As I mentioned,
Go
the
vibes.
JP
How's it
Morgan
going,
guy-
man?
The
Sorry.
JP Morgan guy
Yeah.
didn't board.
He didn't
Yeah,
board.
why? Yeah.
He didn't board. He stayed on the
Why?
dry line.
He was in the
question
queue,
is
then
why.
just started whistling and went and just went back.
Yeah, see ya.
That will prove the theory that they had money problems and they wanted insurance.
Hmm.
Okay, but there's always Titanic as well. Like, but the there were problems with building, so the maiden voyage of Titanic wouldn't be delayed to March, from March the 20th to April the 10th.
Okay.
They will have no money to pay the bills, plus they will have the cost of repairing the Olympic, right? So the Olympic one was damaged, and they let the damaged one to go under the name of Titanic, which is more plausible, isn't it? From the
Have you
theory I
seen-
will present
Theory.
you.
Have you
after.
seen
Yeah.
Lord of War before with Nicolas Cage, and he's an arms dealer?
Yeah.
And he's on a boat, and the CIA or whatever are coming to check the containers for arms and stuff, and they're looking for a particular boat out in the ocean. And he gets a team just to slide down the back. They paint the whole boat name black, and then he just changed the name of it. And he rings up some people, and they're on. No, that's not the right boat. And they get on and check it, and nothing's
Yeah,
there
yeah.
because he's hid all the weapons underneath some stinking vegetables and stuff like that. So when they open the container, it's like, "Oh, I'll close that up," but it's got all the weapons underneath and stuff. So, I mean, it's quite possible to hide ships and stuff. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
The Earth to island ratio. Like, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Was it 80-90% of the Earth is sea? So,
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well,
Well-
unless you're a flat earther, and
nah.
Yeah.
Well,
we had
the,
to dig into
the wreck of the Titanic lays at 12,600 feet down, and I'll get to the team in here soon, which, like, you can't go down there personally, you have to use, that's why it took so long to discover the wreckage, because you have to send, like, bots down there or whatever.
James Cameron actually went down, and there was a documentary about it that he actually went down and he was checking the wreckage himself, was he, in a little boat? Am I correct?
What's that?
James Cameron actually went down.
Right, okay, James Cameron was the Mariana Trench. Yeah, we went down
No,
the Mariana
I know
Trench.
he went out there. I know there was.
Yeah, and
Who directed
he
Titanic?
also was looking for Atlantis, which we have not yet
Oh, is it?
covered, but it would be good.
Yeah.
Well, that they apparently found it, and I can't really remember, and obviously no one really made that much of a note of it because they didn't make a big deal out of it, but yeah, he was looking for it, but yeah, they used a little unmanned sub. But in 1912, Ismay was under investigation for the sinking of the Titanic in Washington, D.C. But yeah. Yeah, look at the chat chiming in. Thanks for coming, lads. This is the first Gaming Pit podcast, obviously, live stream, so, but anyone's welcome on as well. Broomy, Mayhem wants you back, so when you get your new camera here and
I'm
that,
back,
mate.
Broomy.
Yeah, we're only doing 2 a month, so 2 hours of your life a month. Get it on Twitch again, get it broadcasted. Mayhem's picked up on Twitter. He's nearly famous. He's getting thousands of likes and things on his tweets there, which is crazy. So hopefully he can they're all batshit like Mayhem. So hopefully they'll watch conspiracies and come over here. I'm only joking. Well, you know, it'll be a good thing.
I at this stage,
Yes, let's
where
go,
we are
vibes.
at the moment, I like to be actually called batshit crazy. To be honest,
Man, the world is crazy, man.
the words goes is going
It
crazy. You
is,
know,
yeah.
what was the last?
Everything you've
information
said
we
has
got from
been
all?
spot on. I hate to agree with you, but you're correct.
Listen. Now, what you got for us, say? Because I
Right.
want to leave the my stuff to the very end.
Right, so, geez, man. So, the date is April 16th, 1912. It's not the real date, Beep. It's the Titanic.
Oh, okay,
It's
yeah.
not
right.
now, it's
Nice.
we actually
Not
said in
now,
the chat.
alright.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So-
nice, thanks, yeah.
Right.
All right. That was-
Mayhem's like, I remember then, I was a wee lad.
I was a wee lad.
Yeah, I was living in me
I was
coal
only
shed.
in nappies.
I was only in me nappies, not even nappies, mate, then, was it?
Maybe I was
I got the
strong,
first
maybe
line in before that all went to shit. So
yeah, well done. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty good. So, the date is April 16th, 1912. The Titanic sinks 4 hours after hitting an iceberg. 866 were rescued, around 1250 perished. The famously unsinkable ship just sunk. So, it was famously unsinkable as well. Everyone reckoned when they built it at the time, you couldn't sink it. So,
Which surely everything's sinkable. Like,
Yeah, everything's everything. There's nothing
How is it gonna
indestructible
be
or anything. Is there?
Yeah.
It was back then, you know, when people going around and trying to sell all their stuff. Everything was
Yeah,
either
yeah.
invincible, unbreakable, or anything like that, wasn't it? Like the guy that goes around with his wagon selling his magic potions and stuff, like the miracle cure.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's actually a good thing. The good thing I like to point out that we cannot build the same stuff as our ancestors built already. Rome, the roads, viaducts.
Yeah.
Right. We don't build stuff like that
Because no one's as
lost
hand
thousands of
skilled.
years. Yeah.
Maybe
When did we lose
everyone
that?
relies too much on technology now.
We went for the chip shit.
Well, think of the roads nowadays. Like the roads nowadays, potholes everywhere. But then there's like some of the paths that they built way back when are still intact. Like,
Want James
There's
Cameron
motorway.
actually, because I don't think they found it. I've got a team here. So the location of the ship remained a mystery for decades. So no one knew where it was. Everyone thought they knew the area of where it was, but until a guy called Robert Ballard and his team found the ship. It was 12,000 feet below the surface. Could only be reached by remote submersibles. That's why it took so long. Because obviously they couldn't have the technology. You can't just swim down there. You'd like if you drop a penny to the bottom of there, you'd
yeah, so scuba
just
dive
crush.
between 400 and 1,000 feet.
And at that point, when
and
you
that
get
was
so
at
low,
12,500.
yeah. So when you
Okay.
get so low in scuba tanks as well, it's not just oxygen anymore. You have multiple tanks, and you have to mix the right combination. You have to be quite skilled to get quite far down. But then there's only so much you can take before your lungs start to get poisoned, and you start to shrink yourself and get squashed. So you
That's
have to go back
pressure
up.
as well
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
under. You have so much
You s-
water underneath you. You're
Yeah,
physically
fucking-
getting squashed.
Your head would just go.
On headache, yeah.
Your
comes up
goggles
like you
just
were-
suck into your face, like. But
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And when you come up there, you look like you had some Hoover stuck to your face,
Yeah.
like, you know.
So the guy I'm talking about, Robert Ballard, did find it first, but Broomy says James Cameron sent 33 submission to find it at 16,000 feet. King Killer, how's it going, boys? We've got 7 in here, lads. This has actually turned out to be sick. Thanks for coming, guys. Absolutely appreciate it. Killer, what's happening, bro? You good? It made me all fluffed. We sinking the Titanic again. Yeah, well, it never actually sunk, mate. No, we're not getting it. We've done that bit. You'll have to rewind. So the location of the ship remained a mystery for decades. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Robert Ballard and his team, they were the smart boys. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The research team was purely for scientific purposes. Or was it?
Da, 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 da.
Thanks for doing that. I needed that. So my part is about the team that found the Titanic and how it came about. There's a lot more than the location was at stake for this expedition. It turns out the US Navy was the ones who launched the mission. So the truth about the 1985 team that found the Titanic when it emerged in 2018. So it got declassified, all this information in 2018, and the truth actually all come out. So everything you knew about the Titanic up to 2018 was a bit of a lie. So Robert Ballard could reveal they have been part of a secret military mission to investigate 2 nuclear submarines at the bottom of the ocean. They didn't want the world to know, and it was what needed a cover story. So the cover story was to go find the Titanic. So Ballard was a scientist, and in the Navy, he had been building an underwater vessel, but he didn't have enough funding for it, basically. So the Navy gave him the funding and the opportunity to find the Titanic, but he had to do something for them. He had to first investigate the 2 sunken nuclear subs. So the USS Thresher and the USS Scorpion, these nuclear subs sank in the 1960s under mysterious circumstances. They wanted to know if some foul play...
Mysterious, we all know.
Yeah, that's what it legit says as well. They
They were
wanted...
a bit too close to
They
you.
wanted to know if it was foul play, basically. Like they wanted to know the state of the nukes on board the Scorpion at the time, etc. So Robert Ballard didn't have enough to go to build his submersible, which is probably one of the first remote submersibles, which is why the Navy approached him. So they was like, we need to find these sunken subs. Ballard was like, I want to go find the Titanic. So there was like, so it turned out to be a Navy mission. They needed it done discreetly, and no one ever knowing about it. So they didn't want the Russians or anything to know about it. Let's check all this. American Navy officer. Yeah, then he was also MIT or something like that as well. So he was a smart boy. So he come out of the Navy and he went into all the electronics and building and things like that. So Ballard wanted to find the Titanic, and the Navy wanted to find the nuclear subs. After locating the subs, it left Ballard only 12 days to find the Titanic. So the wreckage was found after 8 of the 12 days at 2 a.m. on September 1st. They found it. So he went in, he found the subs, got that, and then he had a couple of days left, and he had to go get the Titanic quick. And he wasn't bothered about doing that. He just took the deal because he didn't have the funding to build the submersible to find the Titanic. So everyone thought it was one place, and Ballard had the theory, it's like a deer. You don't go to where you think it is, you follow the footsteps. So there was plenty of wreckage of lifeboats and bits of this. Because it took 4 hours for the Titanic to sink, it basically left a trail of destruction on the bottom of the seabed. Yeah. So he followed this trail of destruction to find the Titanic. So, yeah, I've got a little bit more, not much to say, but I have got some things. So if I get onto this and share my screen for you guys.
You've got a video for us.
Yeah, just some little images to go. It's 4 minutes. You probably won't even watch the whole thing. We'll just look at a few photos. You get an idea of it, and I can find out where I am and read.
Oh, sea salt, is it?
So
it looks like it, yeah.
So they're on the ship now, and they've got the submersible down there, and the crew sat and watched the screen. I can't imagine the screen being very good in 1985. So they watched the screen as the crew saw images of the Titanic's boiler appear, which was the first images you see there on the screen. These are all the photos taken off that submersible, Robert Ballard's submersible that you're seeing now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was the first that anyone has seen a famous cruise ship in over 75 years since it sank. So
like, look at the state of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bathtub.
So at first the team was like, yes, we found it. Like, this is amazing. And they all got excited, but within seconds of that feeling, they was all like, oh, we're like on a mass grave.
Yeah, yeah.
So they vowed not to disturb or take anything from the wreckage.
You shouldn't. Just leave it.
Yeah, but that's where... So this is photos of the wreckage now. In September 1985, the ship made front page news. The New York Times reported the ship being discovered 12,000 feet by US and French scientists and researchers, because they brought the French in for summit. But
they always have to just get their nose in there. Like.
Yeah, they do, man. I don't know why. But Ballard tried to hide the coordinates of the wreckage, but were leaked. So the coordinates went viral back then in the newspaper, maybe. This resulted in treasure hunters and thousands of objects going missing and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. So everyone just went in there. Treasure hunters had the location, and it was all going out there and just ripping everything to bits, basically. So I mean, it's like a mass grave.
You in the shoes, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone was going in there and pulling stuff out. So since 2012, something called UNESCO, which is a convention of the protection of the underwater cultural heritage, has the wreckage protected. So it's literally like you'll be arrested.
It's been so long that there's no bodies left.
Yeah.
Only remains of clothes and stuff like that, because it's either this is all, I don't know what.
So, would the bodies actually?
The body, like,
yeah, that's what I was then thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the end, it was a win-win for the US Navy and Ballard, because they both got what each other wanted. They found the subs. Russia never found out about the nuclear submarines being out there, and until 2018 when no one cared because it got declassified. But these are all the photos you're seeing right now. But it's crazy, yeah. And the sea is just going to completely this will be gone one day.
Did they find any bodies, or are they just gone?
I wouldn't say you'd be able to find any.
I think they either got taken away or they would have got eaten.
Nah, it's been for too long, and there's so much life around, like, Even
yeah,
down
look at
there.
That is pretty much all I've got on there. Let's have a quick catch up. They did not declassify this till 2000. Wow, but now you can't bring the Titanic back even if they wanted to. No, it's too fucked. Could still walk 500 miles in them shoes, fam. Them shoes that are down there, they would be literally made by a cobbler on the streets of wherever.
Yeah. And still good, isn't
it? You could go down, grab them. You could swap them for your flippers, man, and just swim back to US. Crustaceans and fish, mate. How's the pot not rusted to shite? Proper stainless steel. That's what I mean. Nothing's made like it used to, man. You go to Matalan and get a pair of shoes and a pot and throw it in the sea. It's fucked in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It's simple, because you're going to buy a second pair, a third pair, and properly.
Yeah, that's it.
Days, we would thought it would be insane.
My dad still does that.
Had 2 pair of shoes, probably.
My dad's had shoes 40 years. He takes them in still, and they will sit and he'll find someone in the street that does it properly, and he'll be like, sort this out.
You know,
So
you know that in 1898, Morgan Robertson wrote a book that was titled, it was entitled "Wreck of the Titan."
okay.
14 years ago, before Titanic went on maiden voyage. The book came out
Before it went, okay.
before 1898. That's 14 years. So the book is on the shelves, right?
Damn.
In bookstores, in Eason's and Smith's and whatever you call it, right? In the day. It was about the luxury liner deemed unsinkable. They hit the iceberg 14 years ago. Similarities
Yeah.
to it are absolutely amazing, right? I actually have them here, right?
So when are we
So-
talking?
The Wreck of the Titan was the book published 14 years before Titanic sank,
Before, yeah.
right? So, there were similarities between the size.
1898, 14 years.
14 years, right?
1898.
So,
Holy
listen to this. The similarities between the size. 800 foot long Titan versus 882 long of the Titanic. Speed, 25 knots for Titan, 21 knots for Titanic. Okay? Beyond the name, there are other similarities, right? In the book, the Titan was described unsinkable. Or would you get the idea to give that a little advertisements for the new liner there when you build in Titanic, right? From the book, right? Now, shortage of lifeboats, the ones you mentioned. In the book, okay? So the Titanic actually carried the 16 lifeboats plus 4 Engelhart folding lifeboats. So that's 20, okay? That makes the number of 20 that you mentioned.
Yeah.
The Titan carried as few as the law allowed, 24 lifeboats.
24.
Yeah, less than half needed by 300,000 capacity, right? The capacity of the Titan and Titanic were the same.
Okay, yeah.
Struck an iceberg. So moving too fast at 22.5 knots, the Titanic struck an iceberg on the starboard side on the night of April 14, 1912. We know that, okay? In the North Atlantic, 400 miles away from Newfoundland. Also, on April night, in the North Atlantic, 400 miles from Newfoundland, Terra Nova, the Titan hit an iceberg while traveling at 25 knots on the starboard as well, right?
Got some names for these ships, aren't they?
Yeah,
Olympic, Titan.
The unsinkable Titanic sank, and more than half of her 2,200 passengers died, right? The indestructible Titan also sank, more than half of her 2,500 passengers drowned.
Let's say it's lucky because the maximum capacity was 3,500. So, you know, it was still, and you know, it still did not have enough fucking life boats for it.
But I'm telling you the similarities between
the similarities between the two. It's nearly identical.
Though. Yeah.
Now,
so what was the biggest ship of that time that actually existed then? That's just a story.
Mauritania. No, the Titanic. No, that he just wrote that book. They weren't that's 14 years before. So the industrial
revolution. It's nothing to do with it.
Actually happened.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with that.
It just happened to be very.
About 40. And he dies, I think, 2 to 3 years after, or a couple of months after. Don't have the.
It's like he wrote that book about that, and it sort of come true.
Now, you remember I mentioned that JP Morgan was owner of the White Star Line.
Yeah.
Okay. He was the man. I'll let you know what JP Morgan went on to do after the Titanic sank. He went on to form Federal Reserve in the US.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, JP Morgan Chase & Co.
Yeah. So you know there were 3 people that were actually against forming the Federal Reserve because they knew if the Federal Reserve is done, there's only going to be 1% of rich people on the planet Earth, right? Which is now. The Federal Reserve actually screwed the economy, which we think they actually did, you know, so much good for the economy. But the way the Federal Reserve, which is in that episode, works, it's just so fucked up. If I tell you, you wouldn't believe, right? So,
oh shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Fact about the chap that actually wrote the book, I found it here. The author of the book was poisoned to death a couple of years after the Titanic sank. Okay?
Oh, so he was killed?
Didn't die, so he was poisoned, right?
Okay,
the Federal Reserve was formed very next year. There were 3 people on the board of the Titanic, right? They were against the richest families, and they were against forming the Federal Reserve, which is Benjamin Guggenheim, Jason Strauss, and Jacob Astor, the owners of Macy's, the owners of copper mines and stuff. These are people
Oh shit.
would have said no to forming the Federal Reserve. They boarded the ship. JP Morgan didn't.
Yeah.
Convenient.
Thank you. Lights off. Very convenient. Very convenient.
Siri.
That's yeah.
No, wait, I'm not that posh. Babe, Siri lights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm posh
It's
now, aren't
amazing. It's amazing how it goes because
That's mad though, isn't it?
JP Morgan funded and built the Titanic.
Yeah.
He was booked on the it wasn't that he cancelled that months before. He cancelled that last second. He actually didn't board. He was still on the list, right? A friend of JP Morgan, Milton Hersey, or is it Hershey or Hersey, right?
Yeah.
He cancelled at the last moment and survived to build the Hershey's food empire. All right. So who survived? And he was in
Hershey,
favor of JP
chocolate.
Morgan.
Is it the
Hershey's
chocolate?
Yeah.
Hershey chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
okay.
So whoever was in favor of JP Morgan knew about it and went on and actually survived, and they built empire because they followed JP Morgan after. Okay. Now, as I said, there were no red flares on board to signal of any boats to rescue. There were only white ones to signal a party and that everything is okay. Okay. If you
Yeah.
meet the other ship on the horizon, you just set up the flare that everything's okay, good to go. See you later. Okay. Now, the Captain Edward Smith was one of the most decorated captains of his time, and would have been totally out of character by avoiding precautions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he fucking hit the fucking iceberg.
But he hit the fucking iceberg.
So
That was the problem, mate, wasn't it? The iceberg, wasn't it?
well,
really?
we know the Astor family was one of the richest families, you know. And the funny thing is, right? If those men survived, right? The way they were proposing the economy to go, these three men would be worth $11 billion.
Oh, baby.
Man.
That's just the estimate,
Yeah.
right? Would world be different to what it is now? We'll find out in the Federal Reserve episode. Coming this year.
So I've got an actual paragraph wrote by the Charles Lightoller, which was the Titanic's second officer, just to say how big this ship was. This is his paragraph. You could actually walk miles along the decks and passages, covering different grounds all the time. I was thoroughly familiar with pretty well every type of ship afloat, but it took me 14 days before I could, with confidence, find my way from one part of the ship to another. So
Like a maze.
For 2 weeks it took him, and he's familiar with also he's doing it all his life. It took him 2 weeks to find one part of the boat to the other. It was that big. So, like we said,
Amazing, isn't it?
10,000 fucking light bulbs on that thing. Shit. At least
Yeah,
it was
that's-
metal in the
that's
ocean.
mad.
Look at all the plastic now.
Yeah.
You know they put cars in the ocean. That to actually grow coral reef on it. And that's good for the ocean. Just throw cars in there.
You know, from the famous people that died on Titanic, besides Strauss family and
Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet. Fucking
no, she
hell.
survived on the fucking door. It was enough room for
Oh
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
she did, wasn't she, fat bitch?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she threw that diamond in there.
No, she kept it.
Oh. Did she throw it off the side?
No, in the
No, I
movie
don't
she
think
keeps
so,
that, and
no.
then she's like.
Was it the jewel of the
95.
ocean or something?
Yeah, she's 95 or something, and
It's
she
been
just
84
stays, and
years.
She goes
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
starboard, and she just, holds
yeah.
that in there, and she fucks that out of the board, like, because they were looking for it,
Bit of a
Yeah.
tramp, really. She got done in the back of that car as well, didn't she?
Did she?
Yeah,
No
Leonardo.
photos, no.
No, are we still talking about the film?
No, we don't have time, and I don't want to.
No, we don't have time, and I don't want to. Because you don't know what year it was fucking made. Yeah. Alright. That's money. 14 days. Sick, guys. Oi, I'll tell you what. Pretty fucking good stream. First one to go. 50 minutes into the stream there. Probably a good 40 minutes solid episode. And we'll probably get some highlights and shorts out of that as well. So we'll probably get 4 or 5 videos out of this one thing, which is good. The live stream, fucking ace. We had 7 or 8 people in here at one point. We're down to 5 now. Chat was active. Killer, Broomy, Vibes, Dorothy for putting the spam up the top. Thank you all of you. We will be, I might be live in a bit with Broomy doing some armor. Apart from that, we're going to end that there. Thanks for watching the stream, guys, and yeah, we'll catch you a bit. Killer, you beast. Cheers, bro.
Bye.
Bye, guys.